In this week's episode, we are spending 5 days in Acadia National Park in beautiful Maine. This is the crown jewel of the North Atlantic coast and the 5th most visited national park in the US. This park marks the 40th national park that Lavinia and I have visited, and we are excited to show you a bit of what there is to see and do in this incredibly beautiful place. So let's go see another slice of God's beautiful creation. So before we get going, I thought I would just give a quick overview of the map of Acadia National Park. There's 3 distinct sections to the park. There's Scootic Peninsula, kind of the main area of the park, and then this island over here, which is pretty remote and can only be reached by ferry. We're going to spend our first night at Scootic Peninsula. We're then going to come over and spend a few nights on the main section of the park. So this is a blow up of the main section of the park. This red line here, this is the Park Loop Road. This is the scenic drive where probably most people spend most of their time. A lot of really scenic stops. We're going to be hitting this drive pretty quickly on day 2 just to get a lay of the land and to orient ourselves to the park. Bar Harbor is the main town that services Acadia. It's a really pretty little historic village. We're planning to sleep actually in Bar Harbor and park our van there on night 2. Blackwoods Campground is down here, which is where we're going to be spending night 3. And then down here is Seawall Campground, which is where we're going to be spending night 4. Our strategy was to stay somewhere different each night, just so we could see as much of the park as we could. Our plan, though, is to explore and see as much of the park as we can. We're really excited, so let's get going. Well, it's day 1 of Acadia National Park. You know, we just got off the road after a very long drive from Nova Scotia. Long story, but we were meant to be on the ferry. Ferry got canceled, so we ended up having to drive about 10.5 hours to get here, but we're here. We are just getting settled into our campsite that we're going to be sleeping at tonight. It's the Scootic Woods Campground on the Scootic Peninsula, which is kind of a little bit of a separate unit of the park. But we're going to just stay here tonight, kind of explore the area tonight and tomorrow morning before heading over to the main section of the park over near Bar Harbor. Tonight we're just going to head down to the point, taking the sights, taking the views, do some photography of sunset. So let's go check it out. Scootic Point is about a 15-minute scenic drive from the campground. We got to the point a little bit before sunset and I got us set up to do some photography. All right, well, day 1 is in the books. You know, it was a pretty short day given we got in a little bit later than we initially were hoping for, but still a good day. Excited to be here. We enjoyed sunset. Back at the campsite now, just cooking up a little bit of dinner, and then we're gonna go to bed early so we can get up for sunrise tomorrow. So we'll see you in the morning. You know, these are the mornings that I love. You know, it wasn't the most glorious sunrise, but just being down here by the water, hearing the waves crashing, it's just special for me. I absolutely love it. Welcome to day 2. We're gonna just keep exploring Acadia National Park today. Come along, let's go see what we can find. So we started to drive over to Bar Harbor, and we couldn't help but stop at the Lob Store, where Lavinia picked up some fresh lobster so she could make her own homemade lobster rolls. So today's plan is we're going to go drive the scenic loop around the main section of the national park. We're probably not going to get to knock out all the stops and sites that we want to see today, so this is going to be a little bit more of a scouting mission. We're also fully expecting tons of traffic, and my guess is we're not going to be able to park at a lot of the places where we want to pull off and park. There's a couple small hikes that we might try to do if we can find parking. Helping us today, though, is an audio guide tour that's put out by Guide Along. If you haven't ever used one of Guide Along's tours, we really highly recommend them. They have tours all over the US and a lot of the national parks. We even did some up in Canada. No, I'm not sponsored by them. I'm not getting paid. to recommend them. I'm going to put a link in the description if you want to check out some of their tours, but they're great. They give you a lot of information, a lot of history, a lot of recommendations on where to stop, what to check out. So they're going to be helping us out today, but let's go check it out. We start with a quick stop at the visitor center to grab a park map and brochure. The Ocean Path Trail is an easy 2.1 mile point-to-point trail that connects Sand Beach with Otter Point. It is a great path to see up close the iconic Acadia sea and landscapes. Well, so far so good on the scenic park loop road. We've really enjoyed it. Well, we're just about to wrap up the scenic loop road. It's really been nice. We've really enjoyed it. We got to get out a few spots, did a little bit of a hike on the Ocean Path. The parking actually wasn't too bad, so we were happy about that. We are gonna head back into Bar Harbor now, the town. There's one road in the town that we think allows overnight parking. So we're gonna go check it out. There's only enough, we drove by it earlier today. There's only space for, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 rigs. And there were quite a few there this afternoon, but we're gonna go there to see if we can sleep there tonight, because we don't have any campgrounds booked tonight. If not, we're gonna have to get creative on where we sleep tonight. So that's where we're headed next. Well, good news, we just got to that road that allows RV parking overnight. There's actually a few spots left, so we just grabbed one. It's still a little bit early. The sun actually hasn't even gone down yet, but we're just gonna grab a spot, set up here, sleep here tonight. We're gonna get up early in the morning for sunrise. So all in all, a pretty good day. Day 3 starts with sunrise on Cadillac Mountain. This is an iconic thing to do at Acadia, as this is one of the first places in the US to see the sunrise, which is pretty amazing. To drive up the road to the summit does require a timed reservation, which we were able to secure for this morning. The park releases about 70% of the reservations 48 hours in advance, but they typically go within minutes after being released. So we were pretty excited that we were able to secure this reservation. Well, the sun's up. We're up here at Cadillac Mountain. Got to watch the sunrise. You know, it is kind of a cool thing to say that you're the first person in the U.S. to get to see the sun come up. Well, maybe not the first person. There's probably about 200 people up here with us, but still a cool experience. Wasn't the most glorious sunrise, but still a pretty cool thing to see. So after we did sunrise up at Cadillac Mountain, we came back down, and Lavinia and I actually ended up kind of parting ways today. Lavinia took Tilly for about a 3-mile hike over at Jordan Pond, which is a really beautiful hike here in the park. And then I actually headed into Bar Harbor, just a little bit of admin, sat in a coffee shop, did some editing of last week's episode. So it was nice just to have some time to sit back and get some work done. Come down now to Otter Point here in the park. It's a little bit before sunset, so approaching the end of day 3 here in Acadia. Pretty cloudy, not feeling super inspired. I did take a few shots of some of the rocks in the water, but again, not feeling too inspired. So I'm gonna head back to the van. Lavinia's cooking dinner right now. We're having beef stew tonight. So Gonna head back, and then we're actually camping tonight at Blackwoods Campground, which is another one of the campgrounds here in the National Park. So we'll be based there tonight and tomorrow morning. But yeah, day 3. We're looking forward to another day of exploring the park tomorrow. Well, it's day 4 here in Acadia. You know, we decided to have a bit of a sleep in this morning. The last couple mornings were some pretty early starts, so we're just taking it easy this morning. We stayed at the Blackwoods campground here in Acadia. This is one of 3 campgrounds in the park, and it's the largest, and it's pretty nice. You know, we've had some time to just kind of walk around this morning, took Tilly for a really nice walk around the area. There's a really nice path right down to the ocean with some really pretty views. Unfortunately, this morning is pretty gray and a little bit foggy, so I didn't feel like I missed out on not getting up for sunrise to photograph it, but it's really nice. Unfortunately, we're only here for one night, but so far we've really enjoyed it. We're really enjoying Acadia so far. You know, this actually is the 40th national park that we have visited, so it's a pretty good one to mark our 40th. We love national parks, we really do. And as I've said before, you know, one of our goals and objectives of van life or all these adventures is to visit all the national parks, with the exception of the one in America Samoa, which would be pretty hard to get to in our van. But we just love exploring. Acadia is great, so we're excited to just go do some more exploring today. We just remain so grateful that we're able to do this. We just love that we get to see these beautiful places, and that I hope I'm doing a good job of showing what we're seeing to you guys and that you are enjoying watching this. Fall is in the air here. We're starting to see the leaves turning colors, and that's really exciting. It's a change of the seasons, and we're excited for what that's gonna bring. Day 4 is just more exploring, this time on the western side of the island. This is definitely the quieter side of the park, but this was a very scenic drive that took us through several very quaint and pretty historic fishing villages and harbors. And of course included a stop for lunch for a lobster roll. We checked into our next campground in the afternoon. Tonight we are staying at the Seawall Campground. Unfortunately, none of the national park campgrounds here have showers, so also on the afternoon's to-do list was to find a shower. Luckily, there was a store pretty close to the campground that did have showers. This was a welcome sight, as it had been several days since our last shower. After our showers, we did the Wonderland Trail hike, which is an easy 1.3 mile out and back hike just down the road from our campground. One of the really cool things about Acadia is most trails are dog friendly, which is pretty unusual for a national park. We did this hike right around low tide, which also gave us a chance to do a bit of tide pooling. Our day ended at sunset at the Bass Harbor Lighthouse, which is an iconic scene of Acadia and is often recognized as one of the best photos you can get at the park. This is a very popular place with a very small parking lot, so if you come for sunset, be sure to get here at least 1 to 2 hours early to get a parking spot. Well, it's our 5th and final day here at Acadia National Park. We had a nice night sleeping here at the Seawall Campground. I got up this morning a bit before sunrise and walked down to the ocean. It was actually a little foggy and not too inspiring for photography, but it was still a nice walk, and it's just so nice to be by the ocean. There's just something about the ocean that I love, just the sights, the sounds, the smells. So we're gonna just do a little bit more exploring today before we head off on our next adventure. Before getting our day going, we did our favorite thing. We next did the Ship Harbor hike. This is an easy 1.4 mile loop trail that quickly became a favorite for us. It was really a beautiful walk. we've decided we really like this trail. It's a pretty good one. And of course, we thought it would be appropriate to end our time in Acadia with yet another lobster roll. This one came from Thurston's in Bernard Harbor, and it was pretty tasty. Well, this concludes our adventure in Acadia. What a great 5 days. I hope you enjoyed coming along for the ride. We really enjoyed this park. You know, each of the 3 sections that we explored had its own little flavor. Scootic Peninsula was great for photography. We really enjoyed the seascapes there. The main section of the park, you know, Bar Harbor and the Maine area, I mean, that's just iconic Acadia. And so we really enjoyed doing the Park Loop Road and doing a couple of the smaller hikes around that area. And then heading over to the more quiet side, over near Seawall, was great. I mean, a lot less people. The Bass Harbor Lighthouse is really kind of a cool lighthouse. So if you are coming to Acadia, I would really recommend heading to that part of the park. One of the things that we wish we were able to do was just some of the more challenging hikes that we would normally seek out to do when we're at a national park like this. I'm dealing with an injury right now, which has really limited my ability to do stuff like that. We were able to do some of the easier hikes, which was great, but yeah, we wish we could have done some of the other hikes that we had our eyes set on when we were doing our planning. But, you know, stuff like that's out of our control. The other thing that was out of our control was just the conditions for the photography. I mean, I'm always going to be battling with that. I was still able to get some shots, though, that I was happy with. So, well, that's it for Acadia. You know, we're going to have a couple of days of downtime now before we start our next adventure, which is going to be over in New Hampshire. We're going to head that direction, which we're really excited about. We're hoping we're going to time it just right for the leaves turning colors, and we're going to do some leaf peeping for the next week or two. So we're really excited about that. But that's it for now. We'll see you on the road next time, and may God bless you.